What's up YouTube, my name's Alec, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you the top 10 best defenders if you're a beginner. Let's get into the video. Coming into my number 10 spot is going to be Wamai. Now Wamai's gadget is pretty straightforward. He has a rechargeable ability and you throw around discs to counter any projectiles that come your way. Now the reason that he's beginner friendly first of all is because one, he has a 1.5 times scope on an SMG that's really easy to control. As long as you have flash hider on it, or if you're on mouse and keyboard, probably extended barrel, you'll be able to control this SMG pretty easily while also learning how to aim on a useful operator in the process. Wamai is always going to be useful, and he teaches you how to play as an anchor and to play safe and to play your life, which is a really good habit to build and learn whenever you're new and starting out as a Rainbow Six Siege player. It also teaches you the importance of utility because you have to counter a lot of utility, and it teaches you where to put utility. The range on Wamai's gadget is extremely forgiving because of how big it is, so if you mess up, it's okay, which is really good for newer players, but it also teaches you where to put the utility that you need to put down based off of where you think the attackers are going to come from. If you know the attackers are probably going to come from one place or use utility from one place, you want to put a magnet near there, in between there and where you're sitting. A great example being if you're sitting in cafe and bakery, which I'll put on screen, playing Wamai in there and throwing the Wamai discs in front of you so they can't flash you or grenade you is a great example of how you should play Wamai. Coming into my number 9 spot is Warden. Now Warden's ability is wildly easy to use. You just turn it on and it makes it to where you can't get flashed and you can see through smokes. Super easy to play. He also has a 1.5 on a very good gun that's easy to control, and he has a deployable shield. As Warden, this is going to teach you how to play around deployable shields, but also how to play aggressively on site. You can anchor, but that doesn't mean you necessarily have to play passive. If you don't know what anchoring is or roaming is, which are two terms I'm going to talk about a lot in this video, check out my role guide, which I'll put in the top right that I have on my channel. That being said, Warden teaches you how to anchor, but anchor aggressively, because you can anchor and be passive, like let's say a smoke player or a Tachanka player, or you can be very aggressive on the anchor, like a Wamai or a Warden. Number 8 is Solis. Solis is an outstandingly easy operator. All you do is you turn on her goggles and it allows you to see any active attacker gadgets. Keyword active. They have to actively be using the gadget for you to be able to see them. So you can't just see drones through walls, you're only able to see drones that attackers are actually on and currently looking through. But it does teach you the importance of utility and drone denial. Once you're on Solis and you realize how many drones the attackers have at their disposal, which is 10, then you realize how important drone denial is, and you realize how important utility can be. You can also use Solis to counter knock or IQ players, and you're able to use this as a way to communicate to your team where they're pushing. If you see they have a Dokkaebi or an ace through your scanner, you're then able to tell your team, hey, they have this, and this, and they're pushing here. This teaches you how to communicate effectively, but it also teaches you where the attackers are commonly going to push based off of what utility you're going to see through walls throughout a number of rounds. So I think she's very good for newer players. Next is Vigil. Vigil is about as easy as it gets when it comes to roaming. Essentially, you press a button and now drones can't see you unless you're sprinting. It teaches you, one, to have patience whenever you're on the roam. Vigil is not meant to get kills, he's meant to waste time. And he wastes a lot of time because drones can't see you, so they have to come in with their heads and peek everything, which takes a lot more time than droning and following up off of your drones. So Vigil teaches you the importance of wasting as much time as possible, because as a roamer, your job, again, like I said, isn't to get kills, it's to waste time because you are the first line of defense on the team. He also has a great gun, and the ways that you can use his gadget can be very effective the higher of a skilled player you are, so he's very good for new to intermediate players. Next is Frost. Now Frost is an all-around really good operator, and if you're new to the game, chances are so are your enemies, so Frost mats are way more effective in the lower elo. Playing Frost teaches you the importance of a deployable shield, but playing Frost also teaches you the importance of versatility. Frost is one of the most versatile operators in the entire game. She has a shotgun, which allows you to be versatile in your sight setup by making rotates, head holes, hip holes, feet holes, vertical play, whatever you may want to do with her shotgun. She also has a deployable shield, which is versatile in ways that you can hold it, play off of it, put utility on it, whatever you want to do. Her frost mats are also versatile in the fact that yes, they serve as traps that people can fall into, but also if people are shooting the traps on the higher elo, it serves as a piece of information that you can swing off of. So overall, Frost is very versatile and very good in the lower elo, which is what you're going to want as a new player starting out playing Siege. She also has a 1.5 and a pretty easy to control SMG that you can sit behind the deployable shield with, and that's why I think she is extremely newer player friendly. In my number 5 spot is Doc. Now Doc teaches you the importance of not only communication and teamwork, but anchoring. As Doc, you have to be anchoring. A lot of people don't anchor as Doc and they'll run across the entire map as Doc, die, and not heal their teammates at all, in which case you should be playing Thunderbird, but still, you get my point. Doc is meant to anchor. The reason he's meant to anchor is because the most amount of people on your team are going to be anchoring. You should only have 2 to 3 roamers. And even then, when people get to low HP, it's going to be in the middle of the round when they're back on site, or they're going to come back to site reset once they get low HP, which means you need to be on site ready to heal them. So Doc teaches you the importance of anchoring, not only because you need to heal your teammates who are near you when you anchor, but also because he has a 1.5 time scope, and he's a 3 armor. 3 armors with 1.5 time scopes can just sit on site and hold really long angles and get away with it because of how zoomed in the scope is. So he teaches you the importance of holding angles and being an anchorer, but also communicating with your team, which is super important, especially for newer players. Coming into my number 4 spot is Jager. Now, not only is Jager good because he denies grenades, but he also has a pretty good gun, and he's very, very easy to use. The second you put all of his utility down in the prep phase, you can do whatever you want. You can even die, you can be completely useless, and your utility still stands, which is something that's really good for newer players, because as you're learning to play the game, you're gonna die a lot. It's just gonna happen. You're gonna make mistakes, but if your utility is still there after you are, then your usefulness is still there even after you die. Jager also teaches you how to place utility in exact spots because the range on his gadget is a lot less than Wamai's is, so it's a lot more punishing if you don't put it in the exact correct spot. I definitely recommend you learn how to play Jager after you learn how to play at Wamai because of this reason, but also he's just good for newer players because, again, he's just extremely straightforward. You put down his gadgets and that's about it. Number 3 is Lesion. Lesion not only is super easy to use with a great gun, but most of all, he's wildly effective. Lesion teaches you the importance of information. He is the best person on this list for teaching you the importance of information, which is a huge part of Siege. If you put a Lesion mine on all of the staircases leading to site and all of the doorways and hallways leading to site, then you know where they're pushing from because they're going to step on a Lesion mine wherever you put it. So you have information with his Lesion mines. It's also very good in the meta where people are just swinging everything, because if someone hits a Lesion mine, they can't sprint anymore, so you can swing them and they can't really run away from the gunfight. He's also just very simple. You throw down a trap once every few seconds and you bring a lot of value to your team, not only because it slows down the attacker in a very fast-paced meta, but also, again, because it gives you information. The fact that he also has a T5 SMG is a huge plus side compared to all the other defenders, and all of that being said, I think he is a great operator for newer players. Coming into my number 2 spot is Rook. It does not get simpler than Rook. You put down armor packs and now you have value for your entire team. Not only this, but he has a 2x scope on defense, which 1 is extremely rare. There's only like I think 5 people on defense that have 2x scopes. 2, if you're new, again, like I said, your enemies and your teammates are probably new too. This means you're going to get a lot more value out of your Rook armor compared to people in the higher elo who hit headshots a lot more, because people are going to be able to revive themselves due to the fact that they're getting shot in the body a lot more often. Rook also has the highest win percentage out of everybody on defense, and this isn't just low elo either. These stats are from Emerald and above, so even good players know the use of how good Rook is. Not only is Rook good because of the utility that it provides, especially in lower elo, but also, like I said, he's wildly simple. You just put a pack of armor down randomly in the prep phase, and you've done everything that your operator is meant to do. So if you're looking for simplicity and effectiveness, Rook is definitely the person that you're going to want to go for. Now, if you've been playing Siege at all these past 3 seasons, and you know who's good and who's not, number 1 is not going to come to anyone as a surprise. The number 1 defender that you need to play if you're a new player is Kapkan. Not only because Kapkan is cheap, and if you're looking to buy operators, a cheap operator is always cheaper than an expensive one, but also because he is wildly effective. He is the number 1 most banned operator on console for this season and last season because he is that good. Not only is he good, but he's wildly annoying. If you are new, like I said, chances are so are your enemies, and newer players aren't going to look for his Kapkan traps. Out of everybody on this list, his traps are probably the hardest to see. Maybe second to Lesion because they're slightly invisible, but with Lesion, the traps don't kill you or hurt you as much, so people don't really feel the need to look for them. For Kapkan, they feel the need to look for the Kapkan traps pretty often. It makes them stop, check both sides of the doorway, or window, whatever they're hopping into, or archway for that matter, which wastes a lot of time, and a lot of people don't want to do that, so they'll risk just running into a Kapkan trap if they can run to the building, and those people you're going to get free kills on. Kapkan also has a nitro cell, which is really powerful to unsuspecting attackers that are kind of just running in that you can throw a nitro cell at. He also has a really easy to control SMG. Paired up with damaged enemies on the attack from your Kapkan traps, you can easily clean up anyone that runs into the building. Kapkan teaches you a wildly important lesson in Siege, which is adaptability. Kapkan's entire thing is that he's meant to be played on round 2 or 3 when you realize what the attackers are doing, where they're pushing, how they're pushing, and then you set up Kapkan traps on doorways, archways, or windows in accordance. If you notice that they're pushing upstairs a lot, you put a bunch of Kapkan traps upstairs. But you also have to think about what exact side they're pushing on. If they're pushing from the left, then you shouldn't put your Kapkan traps facing left, because then they'll see them. You have to put them facing right. But then you have to think about the front or the back of the doorway. Which way are you going to put on there? So you have to think about exactly where the attackers are going to be pushing from and exactly where they're looking, and it gives you a great lesson on attacker POV and adaptability to what the attackers are doing, which is wildly important, especially to newer players. Not only this, but if you just set a few Kapkan traps around and you hear them shoot it, that's also information, which you talked about with Lesion being wildly important. Kapkan overall is a very, very good defender, even in the higher elo, because people just don't want to deal with him. He's wildly annoying. You're always going to get use out of him, and that is why I think he is the number 1 best defender for newer players coming into Rainbow Six Siege. With that out of the way, that's it for the video. My name's Alka. Sub to the channel down below, like the video if you liked it. I have tons of guides on this channel. I upload 4 times a week, so make sure you sub to the channel if you want to get better at the game of Rainbow Six Siege. Like I said, my name is Alka, and I'll see you on the next video. Later.